Hi there, how are you? This is Lois Gidiga. Please welcome back to my channel. I'm still battling with the flu, so please forgive me if I am speaking like this. It's the cold season, and the flu is one of the perks that we get for immigrating to Canada. So I'm not complaining. I'll just suck it up and drink something to hydrate my throat. So while I'm doing that, today I want to do a very quick video that is going to be the start of a series that I've been talking about, that I promised you about. And this series is about life in Canada. And the reason I want to talk about life in Canada is there's many people who reach out to me who are out there who are planning to come to Canada, and they have no clue about this country. Maybe they don't have relatives, they don't have friends. Some people out there, they don't give you the right information. They don't tell you things as they are. I know a lot of us who want to paint another picture that is not the reality. So I'll be giving you the reality of life here, the cost of living, the availability of jobs and stuff like that. But before I go there, Canada, Canada is such a big country. Maybe you've done some research, but Canada is so big. It is the second largest country in the world after Russia. From East Coast to West Coast, Canada stretches 3.8 million square miles. That is big. That means that United Kingdom can fit into Canada 40 times. And my country, Kenya, can fit into Canada 17 times. So we can have 17 Kenyans in this Canada. However, as you know, the population here is quite low, and that's why we keep needing immigrants. And I'll talk about the reason why Canada needs many immigrants in a different video, not in this one. But the population in this Canada is about 37 million people. When you compare that to the population in Kenya, which is 47 million, about 47 million people, you can see that Canada has very low population. All in all, Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories. So with that size, it can be very frustrating to figure out, I want to live in Calgary or I want to live in Saskatchewan. It's funny, I met some people, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about anybody, but I met some people and they had come for a conference, and I asked them, so why did you guys decide to come to Calgary? And they said, we just thought the name sounded good. So please don't be that person. Don't come here because Calgary sounds like Calvary. No, my dear, don't do that. Come to Calgary because you have the right data, you have the right statistics, and I am here to do that. I am just paying it forward. I live here. I'm going to tell you everything. I have also been very, very blessed to have traveled to almost every major city in this country. I have been to all provinces in this country. So yes, I have quite some knowledge. I'm not saying that I'm the know-it-all, but I have some knowledge about just how some things run here. So that is the purpose of this series. And it's going to be long. It's going to be interesting. So keep it here. But today, this is the start. What are the things that at times we don't even think about when we are looking for where to move into? I know in the mind of every immigrant, I was there myself. All my friends, my relatives were worried that I'm leaving the tropics of Kenya to come to a very cold place. At that time, my main worry was, will I get a job in Canada? And I think that is the biggest question in the mind of every potential immigrant. So you're filling your express entry, you're coming here as a student, you want to come here as a student, you don't know. So where should you be going? Which province has better prospects? Which city has better prospects? That's why yours truly is here today and is going to be here for the next few videos. So through whichever program that you want to come to Canada, it doesn't matter whether you want to come here as a student, you want to come through express entry, you want to come through a provincial nomination or the Rural Northern Immigration Program, please think ahead. Think ahead. And I'm saying this mostly for people from my country. I come from a society that is that is community based. Yes, it is so community based. We thrive in numbers. We thrive when we are together. And I believe that is the case almost everywhere. So when you come here and you're all alone, you can find some struggles, right? So that being the case, there's a saying in Kenya that says a child doesn't just belong to the village, to the parent, but that child belongs to the village. So we want to bring that community whereby we can support each other here for us to thrive better, for us to build stronger communities. So these are the things that we need to be thinking about when we're looking for places to settle. Of course, so that means the first thing that comes to mind is, where do I know somebody? Where do you have friends? Where do you have family? Where do you have relatives? Because where you have relatives, then it's easy for you. You feel comfortable. You feel better. There's someone to hold your hand. So then it's good that we help people. We bring them together. We bring them so that we can stay together. We can help each other. We can babysit for each other. We can carpool together. We can do all those things, right? And again, something that happens here is there's something called... in Kenya, I know we call it corruption and nepotism. In Canada, it's called networking and referral system. So if you know someone and you know their work ethic and you know that they really work well, please refer them for employment. And I know some companies that actually pay for referrals. And it's easier when you're working somewhere with someone who you already know, or even your kids are in a school where they know other kids. They feel better. You feel more comfortable when you're already identifying with someone. I know when I came here quite a number of years back, and I got my first corporate job, which I still do up to today. I still remember the first few years where I would be all alone. I would be the only Black person in a conference of 500 people. Okay, not myself. There's myself and another lady, from Nigeria, right? And we would be the only two Black people in that conference. And at times you feel like, what? It's good, you're a free spirit, but then again, you feel lost, right? So it's nice when you go where you can identify with people, you have some things in common, you can share some things, you're just not a total stranger, okay? Yes, so that is one thing that you can look at, where you have relatives, where you have friends, because it's easier. It is simply easier. And in that regard, I know the other day my husband asked me, how come we have so many Filipinos, or how come we have so many Indians and Chinese around? And that got me thinking. It's because these people help each other. They help, they bring each other, they support each other, they give finances. I tell you, I know there are some communities who even contribute finances here. They support their people's applications back home. Where you have to show that financial proof. You can do that. You can come together. You give money to these people, okay, on conditions, and they can show that amount of money. Because there are a lot of people who maybe in our communities, they are eligible. The only eligibility they are failing is that they do not have money, right? So I know that is one way that people can work together, and I know that's how also some of these communities work. They help each other to bring each other because they know that there is strength in numbers. Okay? All right. The other thing, remember I said, think ahead. Don't just think of yourself. And again, as I said, as an immigrant, you're worried about getting a job. You're worried about being able to find a job when you come here. You want to settle quickly. You want to, you want to have a life going. You don't want to come here and struggle. So I know that is at the front of every immigrant's head. You're just worried that how fast can I get a job? How soon can I get a job? And how soon can I be able to pay my bills? How soon can I get a house? If that is not an issue for you, it's always good to look at the future. A lot of us, and people make that assumption that people who immigrate come from money. That's not the case. People do sacrifice a lot to come here. A lot of people sold their assets. A lot of others got support from their relatives, and a lot of them did a lot of planning. What I want to say is, look for programs that can help you support your people. You know, most of us here are torchbearers. We are the trendsetters. We are the first generation immigrants, most of us. I know a few people, especially from Africa. Their parents came here in the 50s, and for that, then they could be second generation immigrants. They're still not old. But majority of us, we've come here as grown-ups. Some of us have small children, and others brought children here. So we are first and second generation immigrants here. So what that means is, we do not have that family support. We don't have our relatives, we don't have our uncles, our moms, our dads here. But we can change the story. We can be the people who lay the ground, who lay the foundation for our brothers and our sisters and our friends and our relatives and our nieces and our nephews to come here. So think of it like this. You are eligible, right? You're eligible, you can get the 460 points. You can either choose to come live in Toronto because it's a big city, right? And maybe it's diversified. You feel better being around immigrants. But you can also choose to go to a less attractive province, you know, because some of these less attractive provinces, believe you me, they have programs to attract people and to attract immigrants. So in places like Manitoba, you would find that, and even now Alberta is doing that, and other now, and actually we now have other communities which have come up where they're saying we shall hold you, as in maybe, okay, sorry, that's not what I mean to say. What I mean to say is, these communities, what they are doing, they are attracting people who already have relatives, because that is one way and a very strong way of establishing ties. So they're saying, if you already have a sister, if you already have a dad, if you already have a child in our community, then we shall give you better preference than someone who doesn't have that. So that is something, if you're planning to come, if you're not here already, if you're planning to come, you can come with a goal like that and say, you know what, I will go to this small community because I know that small community is running this pilot program. And when I go to that pilot program, I know I'm going to, it's a small city. Maybe they don't have all the jobs. They also don't have a very, high wage. But come on, those communities, simply because they're small communities, the cost of life there is going to be very cheap. Okay? But your goal, what is your goal? Your goal is 6-7 months down the line, you've established yourself, you have rented a house, then you can be able to bring your relatives. You can support the application of your relatives simply because you are a big tie. We went through some of the communities in the rural northern immigration. Guess what? Some of them are giving up to 20 points. 20 points for people who have relatives. And as I said, remember what I also said, if you have a relative, it's easy for that relative to recommend you for a job. Okay? So you also know that a job is a catch in some of these communities. So you need a job and you need strong ties. How do you establish that? If you yourself, you've already made it through that program, please go to that. Live in this kind of community so that then you can be able to bring your relatives. The burden does not have to, it doesn't have to stop with you. Pass the baton. Pass the baton. Please, my friend, pass it. Change somebody's life. Touch somebody's life. Bring people in numbers where you can. Okay? The other way, and I know it's also a way, and now I think maybe I'm just moving a little bit out of where to come. I've said when you're thinking of where to come where you can establish well, come where you can find a job, of course, and come where you can also set a way for your friends and relatives later on. And I talked about people supporting their friends, their families, and I have seen this in many communities, right? Even in the refugee class, there's a lot of people. There are a lot of refugees who are coming from Kenya, who are coming from other places. And how they get here is because they are supported by people who are already here. See, again, what I said? So if you guys are living in the same community, right? If you're living in the same community, that means then you can come together as a group of 5 and bring that that friend, that relative of yours who is in a refugee camp somewhere. You know, you can sponsor them. And that is not even the only thing, right? If you're here and you have your brother, you have your sister, as I said, if maybe the only thing these people are lacking is finances, you can be very strategic. You can be able to provide finances for these people to come, and that way then we have a bigger community, we have a stronger community. So look for programs that enable you to invite your relatives. Look for communities, look for neighborhoods, look for provinces that are going to help you invite your relatives. Because at the end of the day, what is the joy of just living here alone? You know, I talked about that over Christmas, that this place can be very lonely. So it's better when we have the brothers and the sisters and we have that whole community. So again, help people. And I know this, I'm going to say this. I know some of our people who want to bring people to use them. Please stop that. Don't bring people to use them. Bring people to help them. Change somebody's life. Because the moment you bring that person here, if you change their life, you change an entire generation. You change the whole story of their children and their future. Okay? All right. So keep it here. If you like my video, please subscribe. Okay? Subscribe to my channel. Share my video. This is going to be the start of a whole lot of videos. So I'll be talking about various provinces in my next video. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. Have a good night. Have a good day. See you at my next video. Bye now.